Hello, welcome to Shad Life. I am on Esker Smokey. Some changes have happened, and I haven't talked about them yet because I had to get everything figured out. So I tried the medium frame, and then I was running the Rulesman stem, and the stem got the cockpit to where I wanted it, especially with lower rise bars and stuff, but that super long front end was just way too much for me. It had a reach of 465 millimeters, just way too big for me. I probably could get away with it if I had a reach of like 445, 450, but 465 was just too much. It put the front wheel way too far out in front of me, and jumping and turning and all that stuff was just way too awkward. I mean, I'm only 5'7", it was just too much. So I got a size small Smokey, and I'm running a regular 35 millimeter stem on there with a rise bar, and so this has a 430 millimeter reach. So note to self, and I've done a lot of experimenting over the last couple of years, with a lot of different frames and bikes and reach sizes and stuff, and I'm learning that 430 to 440 is kind of that max range for me as far as my height goes and my build and how I'm situated, because I start getting much longer than that and the bike just becomes a little too much to handle. I start becoming the passenger and I'm no longer the pilot. And it could be a lot to do with the fact that I also ride BMX, and I just generally like bikes that are more maneuverable. And it also has to do with the fact that I'm only 5'7", and I got a 30-inch inseam. People do ask me that, so there you go, 5'7", 30-inch inseam. So this now fits me really nicely, and it's still super slack. It's still going to have a little bit longer front center because of that slackness, right? It puts the front wheel out there a little more and things like that. So it's an aggressive bike. So I'm going to go ride it at Theo here and see how I like it now that I finally got it set up. I'm near a highway and there's lots of sirens. Awesome. Let's go ride the trail. All right, right off the bat, right into a climb. There's kind of a technical bit right up here, so we'll see how it handles that. I do have my GX axis on here, so electronic shifting. Oh yeah, no problem. Sweet. Get this job. Oh, you really gotta lean this bike though. Something that changes with how slacker head angle is, you gotta lean the bike more. Alright. Thank you. Yep, thanks. Okay, there's a fun downhill section here that I like to just rip through, see how this bike handles it. Berms are really bumpy. All right. Okay, very interesting. It's very obvious to me that it's got a slack head angle. I have to lean the bike more to get it to turn, especially at higher speeds. Even my Canyon Spectral 125, when I go in the corners, it steers, kind of dives into the corners easier. This I kind of have to throw into corners a little more. The advantage of that is stability. So yes, I have to put a little more effort into it, but that means that the bike is really stable, and that's kind of the point of a slacker head angle, right? A little bit longer front center. So doing its job there, I need to adjust to it. That's really what it comes down to. Everything else, like climb's great. It is a hardtail, and I love hardtails and how they climb. It's just every bit of power you put into the pedals goes to the rear wheel. There's no suspension to absorb any of your power or anything like that. The bike doesn't bob or anything, and that's why I love hardtails so much. And I also like them because of their predictability. When I'm jumping and doing stuff, I know exactly what it's going to feel like and what it's going to do every time. So but this isn't about hardtails. It's about the bike and how it rides. And let's go over the parts that I have on here. So one of the things that this is a first for me, is I'm running these TRP Evo DHR brakes. I believe this is their top of the line brake or close to it. Running 180 rotors, front and rear. Don't need anything bigger than that. If I was out west or something, I might want a 203 up front or something, but it works fine with 180s. But they're 4-piston, right? So pretty amazing brakes. Even got the TRP rotors on there. Those are nice. Great brakes. They work really good. I'd say I run a lot of Shimano XT brakes on my bike. And they're not as grabby as those are. Like when you pull on the lever, there's more modulation here, but these are just as powerful. It's interesting. You just have to pull the lever further, but you don't have to pull harder. And I kind of almost like that better because I can fine tune how much braking power I want. So I kind of give these an edge up over Shimano brakes, which to me, I love Shimano brakes, but they do tend to be a little too grabby, too twitchy. So love those. As I mentioned on the ride, GX axis, electronic shifting, wireless shifting, whatever you want to call it. Wolf tooth dropper lever, wolf tooth headset in that cool orange. Deity 35 millimeter rise bar. This is an Evo 35 millimeter reach stem and a 35 millimeter clamp. So lots of 35s, 35 rise, 35 clamp, 35 reach. Magic number, huh? And then the Lyric Ultimate. So this is the top of the line Lyric fork. It's got the buttercups. It's got high speed, low speed compression, rebound. Really nice fork. What I'm realizing, and I can say it right now, I haven't even gotten gnarly yet. I mean, I guess I did the drop line or the drop in a couple of jumps. With a 160 millimeter fork, I just don't think I should be using that much travel. I put more air in it, so I don't want to put more air because then it gets too stiff and stuff on my hands. There's a couple of volume spacers that it came with. I'm assuming there's some in there, so I'm gonna add more volume spacers, and that usually corrects this problem, so I can run the fork softer at the top, but not use so much travel. For a 160 millimeter fork, I just feel like I shouldn't be using that much travel. I feel like I should have a pretty hard hit to get it here, and then of course a super hard hit there. So Anyway, SLX crank, Shimano crank, GX axis rear derailleur. That is a Sunrace cassette, a nicer one with a GX chain. That combo works pretty good. I like it. You know, and then the wheels, Hunt Trail Wide wheels, 29-inch front and rear, super nice. Wolf Tooth seat clamp matching, and Wolf Tooth Resolve dropper post, Ergon SM Pro titanium rail saddle, running a Butcher on the back, Specialized Butcher Grid T7, and then up front I'm running that Argotol or whatever. This is way too much tire. I just took it off the e-bike that I put it on, but yeah, these are, I'll probably run either another one of those or maybe get a I really like the Vittoria Mazda tires. Maybe that's what I need on here. So there you have it, pretty much everything. I think I covered everything. Super awesome, really good component spec. And this is the first time I've had a Lyric fork, and the last fork I had on the Rustler was now I'm spacing it, Pike. It was a Pike. And it was 140 millimeter travel on that Salsa Rustler I had. So there you go, Smokey the Bear. There's the shovel. Awesome. It. Yeah, once I get this through my head, yeah, oh, it jumps really nice. Ah, those were nice. More climbing. So it's like not so slack that it feels too floppy up front. And by floppy, I mean that side to side, it wants to go but I can feel it a little bit. It's definitely more floppy than my other bike. Wow, a lot of climbing. All right. More climbing. Definitely an adjustment on this bike with the slacker head angle. It's these tighter trails are not the ideal place for this bike, but I always like to test them out and see what I think. I'm gonna go to Monarch on Thursday, I hope. which is tomorrow, and I'm gonna bring this bike, and I have a feeling it'll do a lot better there. So of course, any bike that you get used to, you're gonna open up on it and shred on it. Oh geez. This is so bumpy going into that because everybody brakes there. That's really hard to maintain your composure going into that corner. Okay, so got enough variety of trail on this bike. First of all, let's talk about the digger that I had. I did eat it, so I got a little bit of blood. It looks worse than it is. It's mostly just on the surface, but you know, of course, blood always makes it worse. So I got a little bruise there, a little scrape here, which I can't even feel this one. This is because this is my, if you look at this shin, I don't know how many nerves are left in it. Same with this one from all the BMXing and pedal strikes. But yeah, that I gotta clean up when I get home. But really, that's the only damage. What's interesting about this crash, it was a hard left turn at a little bit higher speed, and it was loose over a hard surface. So loose over hard is kind of a term that we use. And this tire is not a loose over hard tire, not even close. Like, this is definitely for loose stuff, really deep knobs, whatever. So I'm gonna say the tire was the culprit on that one, and I'm not used to tires like this, and realizing I probably should have realized that tire wasn't gonna hang that corner and slowed down a little bit. So yeah, and also a little bit to do with the slacker head angle and not being used to it probably. So I probably should have leaned a little bit more and so on and so forth. But I will put a different tire on here. I should have known that this tire was just way too aggressive for these kind of trails. So yeah, the bike, I really want to like the bike, but it's a different type of bike. It's starting to go more towards that single purpose, and you know, that's probably why Esker made this, right? They have the Hey Duke, they have the Jaffe. I've had both of those bikes. I still have a Hey Duke. I had a Jaffe. Those bikes were the kind of trails I ride a lot better. That's why it'll be interesting to take this bike to Monarch, because Monarch is definitely more fast, flowy. There's jump lines, things like that, and I did hit a couple jumps with this, and it jumps really nice. So this bike is gonna start leaning more towards that single purpose of being like more of an all-out shredder rather than like an all-around kind of bike. It's definitely made to shred. And you know, I think Esker's thinking on this was kind of, you know, fulfilling that category of people who like to ride out west and on the steeps and on the gnarly stuff. And aggressive hardtails are kind of the rage right now, and so now they have one, and for that kind of riding, it's really good. But I'm riding it kind of out of its element on these tighter, twisty, single track trails that, like, if I get on my Hey Duke, and if you've been following my channel, I talk about how that bike is the sweet spot. Like, that bike is like, every time I ride it, I'm just like, this is perfect. It can do everything. It's snappy in the corners. It's It's got a 66-degree head angle. It's much more responsive and things like that. But if I'm bombing fast down hills, it's not going to be as stable like this bike will be. So yeah, that's why there's different styles and types of bikes. Like, that's why there's XC bikes, that's why there's trail bikes, that's why there's enduro bikes, and so on and so forth. Is because they all kind of have their own purpose. And a trail bike is more of that all-purpose type of bike. I would say this kind of is at that upper end of trail bike, kind of just outside that category. It's definitely leans more into the shredding category. I wouldn't call it an enduro bike because it is a hardtail, but it's definitely an aggressive hardtail. So more to come on this. I hope I get out to Monarch tomorrow and it will be I'm pretty confident, just because of the little downhill sections I've done. It's suddenly, this bike opens up and shines, and the jumps that I've hit, it was awesome. So I have a feeling this bike is going to be amazing at Monarch. I'm gonna bet on it. I'm gonna bet that it'll be amazing at Monarch. So we'll find out. Appreciate your support from my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.